Who is Sinon, the man behind the Trojan Horse? The Odyssey explained. Warning: this video contains spoilers for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, Homer's epic poems, and Greek mythology. When people think about the Trojan Horse, they usually remember one name: Odysseus. After all, he is widely credited with creating one of the greatest military strategies in history. But there is another man whose role was just as important. Without him, the Trojan Horse might never have entered the city. His name was Sinon. He never defeated a famous warrior. He never rode into battle like Achilles. He never commanded an army like Agamemnon. Instead, he used something far more powerful: a convincing lie. With nothing more than words, Sinon persuaded the people of Troy to bring the giant wooden horse inside their own walls. That single deception ended a war that had lasted 10 years. So who exactly was Sinon? Was he a hero, a master spy, or simply the greatest liar in Greek mythology? Let's explain. Unlike Achilles, Hector, or Odysseus, Sinon was not one of the most famous Greek warriors. In fact, Homer barely mentions him in the Odyssey. Most of what we know about Sinon comes from Virgil's Aeneid, written centuries later. Although Virgil was a Roman poet, his version of the story became one of the most influential accounts of the fall of Troy. According to the story, the Greek army had spent 10 long years trying to capture the city. Despite countless battles and enormous losses, Troy remained unconquered. Its massive walls seemed impossible to break. That was when Odysseus proposed a completely different strategy. Instead of attacking the city, the Greeks would pretend to surrender. They would build an enormous wooden horse and hide their best warriors inside. The rest of the army would sail away, making it appear that the war was finally over. But there was one major problem. Someone had to remain behind. Someone had to convince the Trojans that the horse was a gift instead of a trap. That dangerous mission fell to Sinon. As the Greek ships disappeared over the horizon, Sinon deliberately allowed himself to be captured by Trojan soldiers. He looked frightened. He appeared exhausted. He acted like a man who had been abandoned by his own people. When King Priam questioned him, Sinon began telling an elaborate story. He claimed the Greeks had chosen him as a human sacrifice to guarantee a safe journey home. According to his story, he escaped moments before the ritual and hid while the Greek fleet sailed away. He begged the Trojans to spare his life. It was a brilliant performance. Then Sinon revealed the second part of his deception. He claimed the enormous wooden horse had been built as an offering to the goddess Athena. According to Sinon, the Greeks intentionally made the horse too large to fit through Troy's gates. If the Trojans ever brought it inside the city, Athena would abandon the Greeks and protect Troy instead. This was exactly what the Trojans wanted to hear. Instead of seeing the horse as a threat, they began seeing it as a gift from the gods. Not everyone believed him. One man immediately recognized the danger. The Trojan priest Laocoon warned everyone not to trust the Greeks. He famously declared, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." Laocoon even threw a spear into the side of the wooden horse. According to the legend, the hollow sound echoed from inside. It was the final chance for Troy to discover the truth. Then something extraordinary happened. 2 giant sea serpents emerged from the ocean and attacked Laocoon and his sons. The terrified Trojans believed this was a punishment sent by the gods for disrespecting Athena's sacred offering. In reality, many later traditions suggest the gods were already supporting the Greek plan. With Laocoon dead and Sinon's story appearing to come true, the Trojans made the decision that changed history forever. They opened their gates. They pulled the enormous wooden horse into the heart of the city. The people celebrated what they believed was the end of the war. That night, Troy filled with music, food, and celebration. Eventually, everyone fell asleep. Waiting silently inside the horse were some of the greatest Greek warriors: Odysseus, Menelaus, Neoptolemus, and many others. When darkness covered the city, Sinon quietly completed the final stage of his mission. He opened a hidden compartment inside the horse and released the soldiers. He then signaled the Greek fleet, which had secretly returned under the cover of darkness. The Greek army marched back into Troy through the open gates. The sleeping city had no chance to defend itself. By sunrise, Troy was burning. A kingdom that had survived 10 years of war fell in a single night. Without Sinon, none of this would have happened. The wooden horse would have remained outside the walls. The hidden soldiers would never have escaped. The Greek army would have lost its greatest opportunity. That is why many historians and mythology experts consider Sinon just as important as Odysseus in the success of the Trojan horse. His weapon was not a sword, was persuasion. His battlefield was not the city walls. It was the minds of the Trojan people. Sinon also represents one of the central themes found throughout the Odyssey. Victory does not always belong to the strongest warrior. Sometimes intelligence, strategy, and deception achieve what years of fighting never could. That lesson appears again and again in Odysseus' journey. He escapes the Cyclops through clever planning. He survives impossible dangers through quick thinking. The Trojan horse becomes the greatest example of that philosophy. Some modern readers see Sinon as a hero because he helped end a devastating war. Others see him as one of mythology's greatest deceivers, a man whose lies led to the destruction of an entire civilization. Both views contain some truth. He was unquestionably brilliant. He was unquestionably ruthless. And his actions permanently changed the course of Greek mythology. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is expected to place greater emphasis on the Trojan War than many previous adaptations. If Sinon appears in the film, audiences may finally see one of mythology's most overlooked characters receive the attention he deserves. His story reminds us that history is often shaped not only by kings and warriors, but also by the people who know exactly what to say at the perfect moment. So who was Sinon? He was the man who convinced an entire city to trust its greatest enemy. He was the master deceiver behind the Trojan horse. And without his courage, intelligence, and extraordinary acting, the fall of Troy might never have happened. What do you think? Was Sinon the true hero behind the Trojan horse? Or do you believe Odysseus deserves all the credit for creating the plan that ended the Trojan War? I would also love to hear your opinion on one more question. If you had been standing inside Troy when Sinon told his story, would you have believed him, or would you have listened to Laocoon and left the wooden horse outside the city walls? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more The Odyssey Explained videos, Greek mythology stories, hidden details, character analysis, and Christopher Nolan breakdowns. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.